Wait. What?
Alright everybody, welcome back to another Xvault Gaming video. Xvault here, and today we're going to do a React type of video. I was at work all day, of course, but we're doing a React video, so I had time to process my thoughts and everything in regards to, of course, the subject matter being the Nintendo Direct, specifically the 60-minute presentation of the Switch 2. Yes, the Switch 2, and kind of what became of it. The highs, the lows, all that stuff. So there's a lot to break down. Let me react to it with y'all and go over some stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump to it. Alright, so like I said, what we're going to do is get right to it here. My reaction of the Nintendo Direct's Switch 2 unveiling as far as specs, price, games, all that stuff. As most people were going and posting and tweeting and what have you all along during the presentation, you know, there was highs and lows. It started off great because, hey, look, we get those Nintendo first-party games. There's a great Mario Kart coming out that's going to be, you know, really expanded upon. There's a brand new Donkey Kong 3D platformer. There's, you know, all sorts of stuff. There's backwards compatibility. This is great. Magnetic Joy-Cons, bigger screen, more power, all this stuff, right? Some upgrades and such, which we'll touch base with here in just a moment. But it just really started rubbing people the wrong way towards the end. And we'll get to my feelings on that in a moment. But people started being like, wait a minute, what's going on here? First of all, people were pretty right on point with the price point. They were saying $399 or $450, right? Well, it is $450 for the base Switch 2, right? So no games, just the Switch 2, $450. You know what? I think that's fair. I think that's fair, right? Everybody was fine with that, and then they're like, hey, there's a Mario Kart bundled version, right? $500. All right, another $50. You throw in Mario Kart, the newest Mario Kart. How's that bad, right? That's good too. Well, as it went on, the big thing here, which we'll show you right here, but yeah, it's $80 for digital games. $80 for digital games, guys. That's a little rough. And I'm just posting this quick meme here. So $80 for digital games and $90, get this, $90 for physical games, which, okay. We have a little bit of a difference here. Physical games, right? You own something, you have the case, you have the cartridge or disc, depending on the system, right? The cartridge, you put it in, that's your game, right? Hold that thought, guys. Hold that thought. Let me pull this up here. Insert the game key card into the system, right? Step 2. Download the game. Yes, the game itself isn't included on the game key card, so you'll have to download it before you can play. When you insert the game key card, further instructions will be displayed on the home menu. Please follow the instructions to download the game. Please note, to download the game, you must have enough free space in your Nintendo Switch 2 system, memory, or micro SD express card. So yes, the SD cards are back. They're different ones. They're faster, all that stuff. The amount of free space required is indicated on the game key card packaging. So again, the takeaway here is the game is not on the cartridge this time at all. It's a key card. Think of it as a digital key card for anything, any type of game. It's not on the disc, it's not on the cartridge. You have to download this game. So now you're paying an extra $10 for a jewel case and a cartridge that does not work offline. If you were to get this right out the box and you're camping and you brought this console with you to play in handheld mode and you didn't preemptively download this game, it's worthless, right? You stop off at your local retail store, you pick up a game, you don't have internet connections to do anything with it before you're heading out to your camping trip or your long road trip to go somewhere, and you're DOA. You're dead on arrival, right? That's huge. That's so odd to me. Not only is it another $10, but then you have to download it anyway. So you're paying for maybe a collector's piece of things. And then, of course, step 3, play the game. Once the game is downloaded, you're ready to play on and on and on. Internet connection is only required when you launch the game for the first time. After that, you don't, but you do have to download it. So it's just interesting to me. You might as well just have that all digital. So again, we're another step, even with Nintendo, who I thought would hang on the longest out of all the big three here between Sony and Microsoft, is that they would hang on the longest in regards to physical media. So this is very, very disheveling to me. Kind of a gut punch for those that do care about physical games and want that integrity to stay with that sort of situation. So really, really interesting to me. So again, let's circle back also in addition to the pricing, right? I expected the prices to go up. Inflation's a thing. The cost of games and gaming is going up as we speak. I understand that. But what I don't understand is why Nintendo is controlling that narrative before Microsoft or Sony or anything on PC for day one AAA games and stuff like that. This is rough. And again, graphics don't make everything, right? We know that. But like I just showed on that meme, we have something. But people are whining about games like Death Stranding and Death Stranding 2 costing $70, right? And yet we're okay with an $80 Mario Kart now. But let me just pull these 4 examples up here, these 4 screens, just so you have some context here, right? We're starting off with Mario Kart on the 64. We then go into the Wii. We then go on to the Switch, and then we go on to the Switch 2, which, of course, it is getting that bump up in resolution and, of course, graphics each time, of course. But it's not like genre defining every jump, right? I find that odd. And then we're all of a sudden at the point where, again, Nintendo's dictating the $80 to $90 games right out the gate. And we all know that these Nintendo games don't go on sale often. It takes months and months, if not years sometimes, for certain games of their first party IPs to even go on sale. But again, now you're looked into this like, I want to play Mario Kart, so I might as well get the bundle with Mario Kart, right? That's obviously the way you should do it if you want Mario Kart. Otherwise, you're paying $80 later on down the line. I suggest if you're going to get this, get the bundle if it's available, but maybe those bundles will sell out first. You're stuck with just the base console, then you have to pay another $80 afterwards. I don't think that's super consumer friendly. So I think that's odd. But again, I want to show, and again, graphics aren't everything. I get that. But let me just, two quick examples from infamous Second Son on a PS4. The PS4 game launched fairly early in the PS4 life cycle. Just take a look at these two. The lighting effects, the graphics, everything like that. And I understand time went on, inflation happened, and on and on and on. But we're getting that from that type of power. This is supposed to be, the Switch 2 is supposed to be pretty on par with the PS4 base models. This is a PS4 base model screenshot. This is how this looks off of a good OLED TV and whatnot. I'm just so kind of beside myself a little bit. I'm still trying to soak all this in, right? And some people are defending it and some people are not. You know, they're all across the board. And we'll go over that here in just a second as well. But let me also share this oddity here from GameSpot. They have a quick article, but I'm just showing a quick screenshot of it. Switch 2 not aimed at people who want high performance hardware, Nintendo says. So this is aimed at people that just want Nintendo games. They don't care about high performance. And I understand that, again, graphics and high performance don't matter. I do think RAM and such do matter what's in there because you're going to get stuttering. We're looking at different frames. And again, just to preface here, undocked, in case you don't know, undocked, you are sitting at 1080p, but you can go up to 120 frames per second. If you are docked, you can get up to 60 frames per second on a lot of games, with 4K. Not 100% sure on the frames there, so feel free to mention that down in the comments below. But really, really just interesting and bizarre that that's kind of a statement that they made. And then, then we got the welcome tour here. I just wanted to bring up this. This is akin to possibly what Astrobot is, the Playroom, with the launch of the PS5, right? And that was free. Well, this here where you're inside of the Switch 2 and doing all this cool stuff, great idea. You have to pay for this. So this isn't free out of the gate. Again, you had something to build off of. I don't know why they're being super greedy about this. And, it just depends on what side of the fence you are. Are you defending something like this or are you not? My opinion is, if PlayStation was able to do it, why is Nintendo not able to do it? They had one of their most successive generations just before the Switch 2, and they can't allow for this type of game to just be included on that Switch 2 in good faith. I feel odd about that. And yeah. So, and then in addition to that, let me share this here with you too. Talking about the battery size of this as well, right? This is also kind of concerning. I get it, but also concerning. This is a higher capacity battery than the one included with the original Switch, which is 4310 mAh battery. And the one included in the Switch Lite, 3570 mAh, right? However, because Switch 2 games require significantly more power than the original Switch, a higher capacity battery doesn't mean longer battery life in every situation. Nintendo specs for the console say the Switch 2's battery life ranges between 2 and then possibly up to 6.5 hours. Noting these are rough estimates, the battery life will depend on the games you play. So if you're playing something that's almost like Flash type of graphics and maybe not super intensive heavy, depending on the engine and stuff that the game's running on, you can get more life. Like I said, 6.5 hours possibly. But if you're doing something more intensive heavy, maybe you're playing, because Elden Ring got announced on there, Cyberpunk 2077 got announced on there, Final Fantasy VII Remake got announced for the Switch 2. I think those will be more intensive heavy on the battery. You might get around 2.5 hours, right? Which also leads me to believe, like, what are we looking at frames on those games? Are we compensating for anything as well in regards to the shading and pop-ins and visuals? So that I want to see. I mean, first party, obviously, they're going to own the craft. Nintendo always has. As far as their hardware, too, they're going to play to it. Every first party game on that, platform, first party and at home, that ecosystem, they're going to look well, they're going to run well, they're built for that, right? So that's to be expected. But the third party games, I'm really interested to see how janky they can be, right? So I do have some issues there. And then of course, it's just rough. But what I want to say here, I had some conversations with some folks. I've been at work, right? Some Nintendo fanboys as well there. And I'm going to say fanboys because they definitely are defending this. It's okay to them. It's okay. The price isn't a big deal. They're willing to do whatever. And there are those hardcore Nintendo fans out there that are like that. But again, it's comes to the point of fanboy. Like, even if it was PlayStation coming out of the gate, PS5 doing 80 to 90, it's rough. So now what does this do? This leaves the precedence for Nintendo to dictate that now. The rumors of Grand Theft Auto 6 becoming $100 right out of the gate for the base entry is not so far-fetched anymore, is it? It could be even higher than the $100 at this point. That is very concerning. So now they've opened up the market, and the more people that are okay with paying this right now in this economy, by the way, that's just going to lead Microsoft and Sony and everybody else to do it. They're going to do it, So now most of us are like, day one games, more like day 6 months games. In 6 months, I'll revisit it if it's on sale, right? Subscription services, they're going to be hit as well. So yes, might be a little easier on the wallet for a little bit. But again, those subscription services are going to come up if the price of those games come up because they got to make that money back. It's not all cookies and cream with everybody, right? So there's a lot I have an issue with this right now. I don't know where they come out of the gates to dictate that price point. I just really don't. Let me know down in the comments below if you feel otherwise, if you think they do dictate that. I just don't think they do, There's a lot of great games out here, Monster Hunter and so on and so forth that's been coming out, and new games coming out that's justifiably worth that price point in a way, but again, they're not doing it. But then Nintendo comes out and says, hey, 80 to 90 here you go, enjoy that, eat it up. I don't know, still at this point in time, end of the day, doesn't super sit well with me, right? But one other thing I want to do, I know this isn't a salty batch file here, but I just want to show one example. RGT, yeah. Just look at this. I'm going to post 2 pics here. Okay, not too long ago. This is about a month ago, guys. The PS5 and Xbox Series X, generation boring. He's not having fun with Microsoft and PlayStation games. They're just not doing it for him. So the God of War, Ragnarok, Indiana Jones, Forza 5, Hellblade 2, Horizon Forbidden West, just Astrobot. We got Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Returnal, all sorts of great heavy-hitting games from both competing platforms. But he calls it generation boring. But as you can see, as soon as the Nintendo Direct was going on, Nintendo 2, Switch 2 coming out, direct reaction, OMG, basically. He's loving it, happy face, this is it. Huge. I'm sure you could look on the video. I'm sure he's going to have some gripes about it, right? I'm not trying to act in bad faith here to RGT here, but it just, you see the difference there. And again, the difference between a fan and a fanboy, to not take a step back and be like, hey guys, I was excited, but in the title, it's just OMG, like, oh. But again, I haven't delved strictly into that video. I just thought those thumbnails were great because you see such a diverse reaction. But if they're boring, I mean, what are we doing here? You're acting like, if you're giving props to Donkey Kong, which I'm excited for, if you're giving props to Donkey Kong for being a great platformer, looking promising, and then you're not giving credit where credit's due with a game like Astrobot, like, come on. What are we doing here? We're splitting hairs at this point, but again, it's a difference between a fan and a fanboy, where you can't take that precedence back. You can't sit there and dilute it a little bit and be like, man, because again, I'm just telling you right now, if PlayStation came out of the gate and they were the first ones to announce 80 to 90, I can't sit there and be like, guys, this is great. I'm going to be honest and be like, this is iffy. Right now, this is iffy in this economy. I don't agree with it. Am I still gonna, guys? Maybe I'm part of the problem. I'm still probably going to pick up a Switch 2. I may not be able to get it day one. Not in this economy. I'm not going to be able to get those $80 to $90 games whenever I'm at. Even with the $70 games, guys, for Microsoft stuff or PlayStation stuff, I can't get these. I used to back, a few years ago, even when games were, $60 topping out. And I know it's only a $10 price difference, but then you add it on, it's another $4 to $5 with tax or whatever the case is, if you're in a taxable, city, state, country. It's vastly different. I can't sit there and on a whim just be like, I'm just going to buy this game. Not even at $70 price point, $69.99 US. I'm not going to go out there and I can't just be like, boom, 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 boom. I have to wait now. I have to wait for sales if I want to do a subscription service, which I don't do because I like to own my stuff. And I just, I don't find the value there for me personally. I like to buy my stuff. And I have to be very selective. Now you're telling me 80 to 90. So if you get a $90 physical, which at this point I'm not, that's just stupid. I'm not going to collect that. It doesn't do anything personally. And as well as for, I'm sure, a lot of folks. But if I get it digitally, $80 and you're, up another $2 on top of that, so you're looking at probably like $86 or something like that. That's just so rough, man. And then if you have that, we used to think of the Switch as the companion piece to an Xbox or a PC or a PlayStation. It was a companion piece. Now you're looking at this as like, well, this has got to be my focal point if I'm going this route, or it's going to be severely neglected as well, or I'm just not going to get it, right? Because how are you supposed to get these other games on your preferred platform and then sit around, and if this is the companion piece, it ain't a companion piece anymore at $80 to $90. I'm sorry, it's not. The price point out of the gate too for the Switch 2 with a little bit older hardware and stuff is unfortunately, the same price as a PS5 at this point. So again, exclusives matter. They have a lot of great exclusives coming out, including a FromSoft game. Hello. That's huge. Ecosystems and exclusives matter. Some of the PC fanboys very upset that another FromSoft game is only available on a specific platform and not on their PC. So that part I do giggle at, laugh at. But again, I still stand by all exclusives matter. And this is why I probably will venture into a Switch too, because exclusives matter and I want to play great games. But just wanted to kind of break down my reaction. Not a big fan of the price point for the system, essentially, with the dated hardware, but I'm okay with it to a point. Like, I understand, right? I understand. What I'm 100% not okay with is the $80 to $90 game price entry point. That I'm not okay with. And then, of course, crickets and the upgrade path, right? I said I was going to talk about that real quick. There's an upgrade path as well for specific games. They haven't announced the pricing with it. People are speculating $10 to $15 for an upgrade path of, let's take Pokemon AZ, for example. It's probably going to be a $10 to $15 upcharge because it's going to have HDR and other possible ray tracing maybe, or other bells and whistles, right? For that game and many others. But you're looking at an upgrade path where people were chastising the PlayStation ecosystem for doing that sort of thing with a small amount of games, whether it be Horizon Zero Dawn, or, The Last of Us, or Days Gone, or whatever the case is. They chastise for it for $10, where this can be anywhere from $10 to $15 to $20 for their upgrade path. And then, just to put more salt on the wound, folks, more salt on the wound, one more thing before I want to end this video, is they now have voice chat. They have a C button, they have a mouse thing in there, it's great, but the C button is for chat. Chat is free for a little bit, guys, right away. But starting in 2026, you have to pay to talk online. Not even Microsoft and PlayStation charge you to talk online. And now Discord's integrated with all of those systems as well, so integrated with PC and stuff. You now have to pay to talk online. Oh, God. There's so many misses on this, though. I want to sit here and be like, there's all this great stuff, but there's just so many misses. And I just don't think this is a W for gaming as a whole, guys. I really don't. But again, I'm a gamer. I like new stuff, and I might be part of the problem. I might be part of the problem, but at least I can tell myself I don't need it day one in June, right? I don't need it day one in June. But I will probably at some point pick it up because the games speak for themselves, guys. It does. But that doesn't mean I'm okay with it as a whole. Doesn't mean I have something at the pit of my stomach in regards to that, because I know it's coming. I know it's coming. And the adjustment for all games are going to be hitting that 80 to 90 price points. So that part really doesn't sit right with me. We knew it was coming, but we thought we had a few years before it did. But here it is, right? So that being said, ending on that kind of note there, but please let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Every comment and like does help out the algorithm, does help out the video, so thank you so much. If you haven't already, definitely consider subscribing, helping out a small content creator like myself, and for sitting through, listening to the truth, and listening to, hopefully, as down-to-earth opinions and such as we possibly can. So that being said, enjoy the rest of your day, everybody, and we will see you next time on the next Xvault Gaming video. And until then, take care.